Greetings and peace to you all. My name is Umi. Thank you guys for joining me for another video. Thank you to everyone who has liked, shared, subscribed, booked sessions, made donations. I really appreciate the support. So today we're going to be talking about curses. I know this is one of those things where some people believe in the power of cursing a person or hexing a person, and some people don't. But today I did want to use a little bit of scriptural reference, using that text as just a reference to the power of things written and things spoken and how it affects our lives. So curses can apply on an individual level, cursing a person, speaking ill fortune over their lives. As a matter of fact, let me read the definition of curse. It says, a solemn utterance intended to invoke a supernatural power to inflict harm or punishment on someone or something. It's a pronouncement of ill fortune. So we've all been responsible of saying things to someone maybe that we didn't mean, or without the intention of like cursing them per se. Maybe we were just reacting or blowing off steam or just saying things out of anger. But what effect do those words really have? We're also going to look at two words in gematria, just two today. We're going to look at the word curse in simple gematria, which equals 66, and also the word blessed in simple gematria, which equals 66. And I find it interesting, it's probably just a coincidence that there are 66 books in the Bible. And in addition to this being a book of instruction, but it also is a book of blessings and a book of curses. You may be familiar with some of the first curses spoken by God, speaking against Eve. I will increase your birth pains for this sin you've committed. There's also another really interesting one in the book of Numbers, which also hints to divination, early practices of divination. Whether you agree with this or not, I'm going to read it and you tell me what you think. Now, the backstory to this scripture, because it's rather long, it's chapter 5, like 1 through 29. I'm not going to read the whole thing. But the backstory to this is, if a man develops a spirit of jealousy, he's instructed to basically bring his wife along with the grain offering to the tabernacle and before the priest. And the priest, in essence, whips up this concoction in order to test, if you will, to see if this woman, his wife, has been unfaithful, if she's committed adultery, because why else would a man develop a spirit of jealousy unless his wife has been unfaithful? So we're going to start at chapter 5, verse 23. Feel free to read it from the beginning to the end. I'm just sharing this bit. It says, then the priest shall write these curses in a book, and he shall scrape them off into the bitter water, and he shall make the woman drink the bitter water that brings a curse, and the water that brings the curse shall enter her to become bitter. Then down to verse 27, when he has made her drink the water, then it shall be, if she has defiled herself and behaved unfaithfully toward her husband, that the water that brings a curse will enter her and become bitter, and her belly will swell, her thigh will rot, and the woman will become a curse among her people. But if the woman has not defiled herself and is clean, then she shall be free and may conceive children. So quite a bit of a curse there. If she's been unfaithful, unfortunately, there's no particular scripture on if a man has been unfaithful, what to do. But we know back then that was one way a man could find out. By performing that ritual, the priest would perform this ritual, writing down the curse, scraping it off, putting it in the water and having her drink it. So this is text that many place a lot of their faith in, and this is an authoritative text for many people. So if at one point these type of practices of cursing a person were in effect, likely they're still in effect today, and they far preceded this particular ritual. So this practice of divination is nothing new. Cursing a person based on what they'd done was a way to punish a person. And this was done not only by God, but those of the priestly class. So it was a powerful thing. It actually worked. It actually was instituted as a way to carry out the law. We often underestimate the power of our words. We speak a lot of things to one another, sometimes unconsciously, sometimes out of anger, out of reaction, not really realizing the power behind our words. So that's on an individual level. We can curse one another, knowingly or unknowingly. But what about generational curses? This has been brought up in sessions I've done where people are feeling as if they're under some type of weight. There's some issue within their bloodline that they can't seem to shake, whether it be alcoholism and addiction, whether it be adultery, like your father's father, and just down the bloodline, there seems to be a lot of baby mamas or a lot of baby daddies. And, infidelity seems to be a plague in the family and creates a lot of division and, dissension within the household. And so for you, you've identified that there seems to be some type of generational issue, some type of generational curse that you are intending to break. And how do you do that? Well, obviously it begins by acknowledging what it is, seeing that you have some type of addiction or some type of issue in your family, and addressing it head on is going to be one of many solutions. I always encourage people to speak their needs, recognize what your spiritual need is, and by speaking what it is that you need, whether you're just speaking it out, not knowing where it's going or who's receiving it, God, the Most High, some angelic force, ancestors. The point is just to speak what it is that you're needing. So if you're wanting to have better health, better lifestyle practices, you want to be more faithful and committed in relationships, if you're not willing to even speak these things out to yourself and over yourself, then in essence, you're not going to create any type of barrier or blockage against those waves of energy that has been in your bloodline as far as a curse, if that makes sense. So by speaking against something, I say this a lot, as in, no, I'm not going to suffer with addiction this lifetime, because often we have someone in the family that says that you're going to be just like your dad, or you're going to be a drunk just like your dad, or people can perpetuate the curse by just saying you're going to be just like that person, or that happened to my mom, it's going to happen to you. It's not. Like, you're speaking what you desire. You're speaking a better outcome. Speak blessings over your life. Speak blessings over the lives of others, because your words have power. And what I found interesting about the beginning of the scripture was that it said the priest wrote the words. He wrote the curses in a book, and then he scraped them off into the water. So that goes to show the power of writing. And it's not just this particular scripture, it's the entire book. The entire book is a written word inspired of God. Many people believe in it, adhere to it, and therefore it bears power. Whether this is your authority or not, you don't have to be of this faith to know that this book of scripture bears some authority, has power. So when we write things down, when we write down our intentions, when we write down our creative ideas, when we write down blessings, it changes our reality, because we're now fueling these things by means of the God within. There's probably countless scriptures to help you to see that. You have support, you have power to change your reality, but not if you're ignorant, not if you're blind, not if you're going along with things. So generational curses, is it a real thing? Absolutely. It's infected and affected entire generations. When we talk about the peoples here in this nation, coming to this land, losing your language, losing your family, not knowing where you're from, that was a curse in and of itself. These things are written. So we can see in cases of curses in scripture just how detrimental they are to people who are being born into them and don't even know what's going on. You just know you've been born into a circumstance that you'd rather be free of. But the only way to do that is to confront what instituted this curse, what went wrong, how can I change this, how can I be redeemed in many ways. Which is why I tell people you don't have to disown your faith in order to study the occult. Like, I don't know why there's such this contrast that you can't study the occult. The occult just means the mystical, what's hidden. And I just read a scripture about a priest who scraped words into a cup of water and made a woman drink it to see if she cheated. If that's not occult, I don't know what is. We're speaking of mysticism. We're speaking of acts that took place, whether it's scripturally or just the things you see in your everyday reality, that bears some consideration. Why? The purpose of life, existential questions. So breaking free from your fear, getting educated on who you are, your nature, your power, your weaknesses even, what things we can strengthen within ourselves, helps us to have confidence in the words we speak. So that way you're not uttering things that you don't believe. You want to believe what you're speaking. And as your life and circumstances begin to change because you're speaking these things out, you know that this is bearing witness to the power that's within you and the love that's within you, because you're speaking blessings now. So to speak a curse, I do feel these things can come back to us. So obviously you want to be cognizant of the words you speak to other people, because yes, what we send out comes back around. This is the law of what we're projecting, that there's going to be some reflection or some consequence to the things that we speak and project. And some people may feel it's justified. You know, if someone's hurt you, there's been some type of violent act or injustice, you may very well feel, you know, justified in speaking negative words at a person to affect their life and affect their reality. But that's between you and the God you serve. And you just want to be mindful of speaking to family and loved ones and friends and people you care about, not speaking over their lives negative things. You know, your hair, you're not going to have a lot of hair. None of us had a lot of hair. Don't speak that over your baby's life. Don't tell your daughter she's not going to have nice, beautiful, thick hair just because you and your grandma and all y'all were bald headed. Don't do that. Speak love. Bless her hair, moisturize her scalp. Like, we have to take that kind of charge over our reality as conscious co-creators, period. So when we're talking about curses when it comes to a nation, many of you can attest to in scripture entire nations being cursed for their disobedience to God or breaking a particular law. I spoke about that in the previous video on the fall of America on the number 13. And just I was irresponsible in not putting a disclaimer. If you were born on the 13th, if you have 13 children or 13 is your favorite number, I'm not saying you're a hypocrite or your life is bound to destruction or any of the things I was sharing in the video. That was specific and unique to the subject, to the United States. So just don't mind that if it's for you personally, you resonate with this number. It may take on a whole new meaning and symbolism for you personally, as every number does. So I wanted to share that. Many may feel, you know, well, Umi, I'm not God. You know, if God has cursed me or my family, who am I to change these things? That's what the power of redemption is about. We reconcile, we make amends, we redeem ourselves by means of our faith and what it is we choose to believe. And when you start to walk a different path and live righteously, you'd be surprised how grace comes into your life and opportunities come into your life and your circumstances change. So a lot of this does have to do with your faith and the power of what you're speaking and the power in what you're writing. I personally like to utilize natural paper. You can use blue ink. You can use natural oils or inks like from pokeberry or elderberry. If you are into that type of stuff, you can use a natural ink and you can write down blessings over you and over your family and over your life and believe them. Believe them, invest in them, place your energy into the things you're writing, share it with others, speak it out loud, record yourself saying it. Why does this have power? Because a lot of our reality is psychological. A lot of our reality is a projection of our inner world. It's a reflection of our inner world. So once you realize that and you come out of that negative thought and that guilt mentality and that fear and that density, then you'll start to see that you are in fact a co-creator. We do have a hand in the reality we're witnessing. So I wanted to share that with you all. Speak blessings, welcome blessings in your life. You can absolutely get free from any measure of curses that you feel are plaguing you, your family, this nation, the nation you live in, the world. But it is a matter of you making the effort to just change these things by way of your actions, your thoughts, your words, what you write, what you exchange energetically. Is us being accountable, is us accessing our God body. And I mentioned that in the video on the God body and the light body, that we can elevate beyond these things that seem to weigh us down and feel so constrictive and dense in our reality. So thank you guys for tuning in. I am available for sessions for any of you who are interested in building with me. That information is in the description. Again, the 40% off on sessions is going on for a limited time. So I look forward to building with many of you. And until next time, peace.